everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Sam.
And as always, we're here to guide you through the layers of history with our stack of sources.
Great to be here. And Taylor, we've got a really fascinating topic today, something that honestly kind of rewrites the script on 19th century India.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to get you quickly up to speed on one of the most, remarkable and unique periods in South Asian history, the rule of the Begums of Bhopal. We've gone through a whole stack of sources detailing this incredible century-long stretch of female leadership.
And that's really the core of it, isn't it? We're talking about 4 successive Muslim women ruling the princely state of Bhopal for over 100 years, right? From 1819 up to 1926.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just unusual. It flies in the face of almost every traditional patriarchal idea we have about Indian governance back then.
Exactly. So we're unpacking how these women did more than just, navigate court politics. They actively broke with tradition, they built up the state, pushed military reforms, and brought in social policies that were genuinely decades ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Really radical stuff. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. And to really appreciate just how extraordinary this was, you need to remember the context. Most 19th century princely states, strictly patriarchal, royal women were typically confined largely to the private sphere, the zanana, and succession. It was rigidly male. So for Bhopal to become this stable, successful state governed entirely by women for 4 generations, well, you need to look at a unique mix of circumstances and some pretty amazing individuals.
Okay, so the sources point to the political situation being really crucial at the start. The first element seems almost accidental, right? Nawab Wazir Muhammad Khan dies in 1807.
Yeah.
And his daughter, Qudsiya Begum, is the heir. And critically, there aren't any powerful male relatives immediately ready to jump in and fight for control.
That's part of it. But the really interesting angle, I think, is the British involvement. You'd expect the East India Company to back traditional male rule.
You would.
But they supported Qudsiya. Why? Well, the sources suggest it boils down to pragmatism. Bhopal was strategically vital. It controlled key trade routes in central India.
Okay.
So the British basically preferred a stable, cooperative ruler, even if she was female, over the chaos a messy male succession fight would likely cause. Stability trumped tradition.
So that kind of flips the script. The matriarchy's foundation was actually built, partly anyway, on a political compromise with the colonial power, which ironically gave these women the external legitimacy they needed back home.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's look at Qudsiya Begum herself, the pioneer. Her husband dies, the state's apparently deep in debt, lots of internal fighting. How did she actually pull it together?
Well, Qudsiya, she started as regent for her daughter, but she was clearly a brilliant political player. She didn't just inherit authority, she had to actively carve it out, maneuvering through all those court factions.
Tricky stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she formed these critical alliances with key military commanders, people who could have easily challenged her, but she brought them on side.
And she didn't just survive, she made the state work again. Our sources really highlight how she tackled the money problems head on. The revenue system was a mess, apparently corrupt and chaotic.
Totally chaotic. And she didn't just tweak it, she fundamentally reorganized it.
Yeah.
Set up standardized tax collection, proper financial accounts. That predictability was absolutely vital for stabilizing the economy.
Right, predictability means stability.
Exactly. And then she reinvested those revenues. Things like road construction. These weren't just vanity projects. They were about control. Better roads meant troops could move faster, commerce improved. It helped solidify her grip on the whole state.
Okay.
But maybe her biggest achievement, the thing the sources really stress, was setting up the legal and cultural groundwork for the next female ruler. She essentially normalized women's authority in Bhopal, made it the expected thing. She paved the way institutionally.
That sets things up perfectly for her daughter, Sikandar Begum. And this is where, for me, it gets really, really interesting. Because Sikandar wasn't just a sharp administrator.
No.
She was a warrior, actually leading troops in the field. Given everything you said about gender norms, how on earth did that work? A woman leading armies.
It was revolutionary. Sikandar Begum apparently rode out on horseback, leading her forces in full public view. Not just a figurehead, a commander.
Wow.
And this allowed her to personally lead campaigns to get back territories lost during earlier troubles. Places like Ichwar, Sahor, parts of Malwa. She actively annexed them.
And she wasn't stuck in the past with warfare either. She saw that military tech was changing fast.
Absolutely. She systematically modernized her army, got them contemporary weapons, better training. It's sort of up to European standards at the time.
And that paid off.
Hugely. The Battle of Barragia in 1862, a decisive victory that basically cemented Bhopal's military edge in the region. She knew military strength was the ultimate guarantee of their, well, relative independence from total British domination.
Beyond the battlefield, though, her reforms were broad. She wasn't just conquering, she was building, thinking long term, especially with resources like water, that great tank of Bhopal.
A massive undertaking.
Yeah.
But not just symbolic. It solved a fundamental problem, providing a reliable water supply for a growing city. And it's still there, still functional today. She also brought in proper urban planning, wider streets, drainage, very forward-thinking.
But perhaps her most radical move, socially speaking, was in education.
Yes, definitely. Institutionalizing progress. She realized that if women were going to govern, they needed the education to do it. So she set up the first formal schools for girls in Bhopal.
What did they teach?
Literacy, of course, but also practical skills, things like basic medicine, administration, crafts. She was essentially training the next generation of educated women who could work in the state apparatus.
And all this while being, by all accounts, a devout Muslim. How did she handle the multi-faith nature of the state?
With remarkable tolerance, actually, which was vital for keeping the peace. She actively protected Hindu temples, helped fund festivals for all communities, and crucially, made sure court appointments were based on merit, not religion.
Smart.
Very smart. It ensured internal stability when many neighboring states were struggling with sectarian strife.
Okay, moving on to Shah Jahan Begum.
Hmm.
Known as the Great Builder, the social reformer, she seems to have really transformed Bhopal's look, leaving this major architectural mark that's still visible today.
Oh, absolutely. The Taj al-Masjid, for instance, one of the largest mosques in Asia. Just awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't see these just as, grand gestures. They were strategic displays of state power, legitimacy, even expanded the upper lake, yes, beautiful,
Yep.
but also a practical necessity, solving huge water supply issues for a city that was starting to industrialize.
And that industrialization connects to her economic vision, right? She embraced the new technologies of the age.
She absolutely did. She understood connectivity was the future. So she invested heavily in something usually controlled by the colonial powers. Railways.
Ah, interesting.
She facilitated building lines linking Bhopal directly to major hubs like Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta.
And that wasn't just about moving people around faster.
Not at all. This is a crucial point for our deep dive here. That railway connection meant greater economic autonomy. It sparked a real manufacturing boom, textiles, metalwork. She even imported new machinery to support it.
So the state treasury got a boost.
A massive boost.
Yeah.
More trade, more industrial taxes. It gave her more financial independence, more leverage.
And then on the social front, some policies that sound incredibly radical for the time. A women's hospital, staffed entirely by women.
Yes. Think about the cultural impact.
Right.
It directly overcame barriers to healthcare for women, allowing them access without compromising traditional ideas of modesty.
That's huge.
And she went further, strengthening women's legal rights to property, inheritance, formalizing their empowerment in law. But maybe the boldest move was tackling conservative traditions head-on. She actively encouraged widow remarriage and discouraged child marriage.
Wow. That must have caused pushback. How did she handle the resistance to changing such deep-seated customs?
Oh, there was definitely fierce opposition. But here's where she was really clever, according to the sources. She used religious authority to counter religious opposition.
How so?
She made sure her reforms were officially backed by the state's muftis, the Islamic legal scholars. She basically demonstrated that these progressive policies were perfectly compatible with Islam.
So she wasn't just imposing change, she was legitimizing it from within the existing framework.
Exactly. Institutionalizing empowerment by making it legally and religiously acceptable. That's real strategic thinking.
Okay, so that brings us to the final ruler in this amazing line. Sultan Jahan Begum, reigned from 1901 to 1926. Her main focus seems to have been consolidating all that modernization her mother started.
That's a good way to put it. Education was absolutely central for her. She founded the Sultan ul Madaris, genuinely one of India's first proper women's colleges.
And this wasn't just like a finishing school.
Not at all. It was designed for higher education. It included science, administration. She was consciously creating a class of women capable of participating fully in professional life and governance. Plus, she established tons of primary schools for girls, really pushing up female literacy rates.
And she continued the public health push, too, modernizing healthcare.
Yes, significantly. The Victoria Hospital, named for the British Queen, but revolutionary for having separate wards for women and children. She didn't wait for British mandates. She launched Vaccination campaigns, smallpox, cholera built clean water systems, modern drainage, even set up mobile medical units for villages far from the city.
Really building a modern state infrastructure.
Absolutely. And then this century of female rule ends strategically. Sultan Jahan Begum wasn't overthrown. She voluntarily abdicated in 1926.
In favor of her son, Hamidullah Khan.
Right. And this looks like a calculated move, not a defeat. By the 1920s, British colonial attitudes towards female rulers were apparently getting less favorable, hardening somewhat.
Ah, politics again.
Always. So by abdicating voluntarily, she ensured a smooth, stable, uncontested transition to her chosen male heir. It secured the state's continuity in a changing political climate.
And the legacy today. You can still see the impact in modern Madhya Pradesh, can't you?
Absolutely. It's impossible to ignore. Those institutions, the Begums founded the colleges, hospitals, they're still major centers. Their urban planning, the infrastructure they built, it literally formed the backbone for modern Bhopal's growth.
So connecting this all back, what's the big takeaway for you?
I think the Begums of Bhopal just powerfully demonstrate that leadership has no gender. They navigated tradition, embraced modernity, and achieved remarkable progress within a system designed to exclude them. It's pragmatic, strategic leadership. And, their story is a potent reminder for all of us, I think, that real stability and genuine innovation often emerge from the most unexpected places in history, places we've been taught to overlook.
A fantastic point to end on. Really makes you think. Now, if listening to this has inspired you and you decide to travel to Bhopal or maybe elsewhere in India, we do have a recommendation.
Mm,
Five Senses Tours organizes tours all across India. They focus on really immersive cultural experiences. You can email them at contact@fivesensestours.com. That's the numeral 5, SENSESTOURS.com. Or you can reach them on WhatsApp at +919-845-677-4446. We'll put those details in the show notes too.